Well folks, it is officially hot. My temperature gauge read about 92, 93 degrees first thing this morning, and in the middle of the day the heat and the humidity around here are just absolutely oppressing. And this time of year there's not a whole lot of vegetable crops that can handle this heat, so there's not a whole lot of vegetables that we can produce in the garden. We've got our okra, which does well in the heat. We've got our sweet potato patch, which does well in the heat, and we've still got our zinnias, which are going to like the heat and continue to grow throughout the summer. But besides that, we're not going to be getting a whole lot of vegetable production throughout the end of July into August and early September. So this is a good time of year to take a break and kind of start to take care of our soils a little bit. We want to rehab our soils from those intensive spring plantings and get our soils back in good shape for when we go to plant some fall crops in mid-September on into October. In the last few weeks, we've showed you some of our cover cropping process. We showed you how we got our sorghum Sudan grass planted. We also showed you how we flail mowed our sun hemp and got it tarped. And we want to continue that cover cropping process today. But before we start planting some more cover crops today, let's go take a look at our progress on our other two cover crop plots. So this is where we had our sun hemp planted, and we flail mowed it and tarped this last week. And if we pull this up and take a look at it, you can see we've got some nice moist soil down there. All these weeds that were here are dying off, and any new weed seeds that are in the soil are going to germinate and die because they can't get any light. So really happy with how this tarp is working so far here, and in just a few weeks this stuff ought to be nice and ready for some fall corn. And right here we've got our sorghum Sudan grass that we planted in one of the 6 subplots in our new dream garden. We've got really good germination on this stuff, came up really nice, and it's already starting to produce a significant amount of biomass. But this stuff will keep getting taller and taller. So this should do wonders for this plot here that was struggling a little bit early this spring. And today we're going to plant 2 new different cover crops in these 2 subplots in our dream garden. So these 2 subplots behind me here are on the end of my new dream garden. This one I call plot 5, this one plot 6. Plot 5 is where we planted our incredible sweet corn in the spring. We've already harvested that, obviously. Got those stalks mowed down, got that area cleaned up, tilled it up real nice. And this plot over here, which is plot number 6, where we had our small wonder spaghetti squash and our kabocha squash. And we've already harvested those guys. We've got them underneath the barn and they're storing real nice there. Now I came out here earlier this morning and me and old Troy got this plot over here nice and tilled up and ready for the cover crop. When I'm planting cover crops, I always like to come in there with a tiller beforehand, get everything nice and chopped up, get that soil kind of nice and fluffy. It's going to give me better seed to soil contact, and I just get better germination if I come in here and till it beforehand. For these 2 subplots, we're going to be planting buckwheat in one plot and brown top millet in the other. I recently read a report from a study that was done in Argentina where they were experimenting with monocot and dicot rotations in cover crops. And what they found was that if you follow a monocot with a dicot cover crop or follow a dicot with a monocot cover crop, that you get a lot more diversity in your soil life. You get a lot more diverse mycorrhiza and soil bacteria, which is going to inevitably lead to healthier soils. Now 2 of our warm season cover crops are monocots and the other 2 are dicots. The sorghum Sudan grass and the brown top millet are monocots, which means they have a fibrous root system. The other 2, the sun hemp and the buckwheat, are dicots, which means they have more of a taproot root system. So in this plot right here where we had our winter squash planted, which is a dicot, we're going to follow that up with a monocot with a brown top millet here. And then in the plot back there where we had our corn planted, corn is a monocot, we're going to follow that with this buckwheat, which is a dicot. Now this is not an absolute rule by any means, but it's something that we're trying, something that's been researched and studied, and it should give us some healthier soil by providing a more diverse array of bacteria and mycorrhiza. The brown top millet seed is a smaller, finer seed. It's like that right there. And you can plant this with a garden seeder. We've done it many times, works great, but I've been broadcasting lately, so this is what I'm gonna do today. I'm gonna broadcast it and rake it in. So this is a really tiny seed here, and the seeding rate on this is 1 pound per 1,000 square feet. But as you know, I like it thick, so I'm probably gonna put out a little more than that. Now the buckwheat has a little bigger seed than the millet does there. It has kind of a triangular shaped seed, as you see there. And you can plant this with a garden seeder as well, but we're going to just broadcast it today. The seeding rate on this stuff is 3 pounds per 1,000 square feet. So we'll probably end up planting this whole 5-pound bag just to get it nice and thick. The buckwheat is more of a short-term cover crop, and it's going to mature or start to flower in about a month, which is going to be just right because I'm planning on trying to squeeze in a crop of Seminole pumpkins where I plant this buckwheat. So in about a month, I'm gonna get this incorporated into the soil and try to get me some Seminole pumpkins in before the cool weather arrives. And the brown top millet is more of a long-term cover crop, so it's gonna take several months to mature, but it's gonna make a lot of biomass during that time. So it's more of a longer-term solution for this plot right here where we're gonna plant the millet, and we'll probably end up incorporating that or maybe even tarping it, and kind of wait with this plot until November to plant something there, probably something like onions, leeks, or elephant garlic. So I'm going to go ahead and get both of these cover crops broadcasted and raked in. I'll put some links below so you can get your warm season cover crops and start rehabbing your garden for fall planting. I hope you enjoyed this week's video. We'll see you next week.